Carter TV, and I'm back with the final part. One Man Army. Final part. Y'all ready? Let's get right into it. Now, we last left off, Becky was in some hot water. Becky was in some hot water. So this whole time, Street Dude wanted to mess with Becky. It's because they knew Becky knew them people that work at the bank. You know what I mean? And being that Becky knew them people at the bank, they used Becky to get them votes open. It was an easier way for them to maneuver. So they had about 16, 12 guys, and they divided it up between the three banks. When Becky get them out, when they see the dudes is out the building with Becky, they would run in, rob the bank, get the bread out as much as they could, and skedaddle. The third bank, they wasn't so lucky. Becky didn't have much control over trying to keep this guy in the tent and, composed, because he was already alerted that banks was being robbed in the area. And they was being robbed, like literally back to back. And, the authorities alerted the banks, was like, banks were being robbed, be on the way, be on the lookout. And this dude was just like, oh shit, let me close up the vote early, because he got notarized, and Becky came in just right around the time he was about to close up. And he basically told Becky, I can't do it right now. I can't talk to you. Banks are being robbed. I need to be on point. I need to make sure my bank is secure. In the midst of him doing that and still talking to Becky, the bank robbers came in. So when Becky heard them, she was still trying to get the dude to come out. And by the time she was trying to get the dude to come out, he kind of looked at her like, why you such in a rush to get me out of here? His robbers ain't here. Becky, just get out of here. Get out of here. Go call 911. So what Becky did was she hit the floor. And the bank robbers came in. He already closed the door. He closed it. Boom. Shut it. So the robbers ain't getting nothing out the vote. They was only able to rob cashiers or whatever else they had. And they had plans on making a certain amount. And it didn't go as planned. So when Becky seen that they wasn't showing her no type of attention, she skedaddled right past them. And the banker, he saw that. And he was just like, what the fuck? Was she in it? Like, he thinking, like, is she in this onto the shit? So after the three bank robbers that, that all went down, they ended up going back to a safe spot. And they was able to get a decent amount of money, but not the amount they wanted to reach. And the street dude who had the whole operation in plan, he got backlash from his boss. You know what I'm saying? They was like, yo, you supposed to be on top of this. What the fuck happened? This and the third. And he was like, I don't know. My bitch didn't do what she was supposed to. This and the third. And he was like, she got to get handled. She got to get handled. Right? And Becky thought, being that they robbed this bank, I'm going to need some of that money. So the street dude was just like, you need some of what money? You need some of what money? Bitch, you ain't come through. And she was like, but I helped y'all get 2 banks. And then he was like, we supposed to get all fucking 3 banks. And we didn't get all fucking 3, Becky. You ain't do your job. And Becky was pleading her case. It was like, well, the dude was on alert. Other banks were being robbed. What you expect me to do? I couldn't get him out the building. I couldn't get him out. He was on alert already. Apparently, y'all ain't make this shit quiet enough, so he ain't had to be on alert. So when the dude heard that, he was like, y'all, and he smacked her. Boom! Smacked the shit out of Becky. Becky's oldest son seen that. Was like, boy, he was like, I ain't going for that. Don't hit my mom. Don't hit my mom. He picked up a 2x4 wooden stick that was close to him, and he cracked the dude. Boom! And the dude quickly backed out and shot the little boy in his chest, point blank range. Boom! Put a bullet in his chest. 10-year-old kid. 9-year-old kid put a bullet in his chest with no remorse. So the sister saw that, was like, ah! Becky was just like, that's my son. What are you doing? Ah! Like, he beat Becky up. Boop, 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 boop. Beat Becky up. Right? Beat Becky up. And then one of his boys who was into kids raped his 6-year-old sister and then killed her. And left their bodies right there in the corner. So when Becky finally came to, about an hour later, They left her in that abandoned building. They left her there with the dead kids. They thought she was already dead. People who was walking by heard the gunshot go off. Called 911. Street niggas and them got up out of that. You know what I'm saying? They got up out of there. They thought Becky was already dead because they beat her up real bad. Raped her 6-year-old daughter, shot her son dead in his chest, and they killed that little girl. When Becky finally came to, the authorities was arriving on the scene. They was coming in the building. They seen Becky crawling. Ma'am, are you all right? Are you all right? She coming to. They opening her eyes. She's like, where's my kids? And they wasn't answering her. So she finally got up, looking around, all bloodied up. She see them both kids in the corner, laid together on top of each other like this, dead, just laying there. She was just in tears. She was shocked. Mind you, Becky was on dope. She's a crackhead. But she knew, like, her kids was gone. So the cops came down. They questioned her. You know, the cops that knew her was like, Becky, what happened up there? What's going on with you? In the past year, you really been going down. So Becky recognized one of the officers who been coming around. And she looked at him and was like, you know what's going on. You've been around. I always see you around. So the dude was just like, Becky, calm down now, calm down. So he was like, calm down. She was like, calm down. I just lost my fucking kids. So he basically came to Becky, was like, bitch, you a fucking crackhead. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, I've been around. And he was, whispering it to her. Yeah, I've been around. So the fuck what? What you gonna say? Who gonna fucking believe you? You a fucking crackhead, bitch. Now you just lost your motherfucking kids, and who did it? That's what we want to know. So he backed up. She was like, you all right? Like, he tried to play it off like if he was talking to her some nice shit. He wasn't. He was like, now, are you okay? Do you know who did this? And she yelled, yes, I fucking know who did it, because you know who did it too. So he was like, I ain't gonna be able to talk to you like this. I'm gonna just walk away. And before he walked away, he said, does John know? And she kind of was just quiet. Own husband don't even know. What you think he gonna say? She got real quiet and started crying. So authorities came to John. John was in the house. He was working out. He was watching the news, seeing the bank. He was hearing about the banks being robbed. And he was working out. And he was getting his thoughts together. You know what I mean? From that last episode of him getting jumped, he didn't want it to go down again like that. And one of the officers who, been checking in on him and chilling with him and, keeping up with him, he pulled up to the house. He pulled up alone, and he was just like, what are you doing here? He's like, I came to talk to you. He said, not right now, it's not a good time. John ain't had no shirt on. He just had on some shorts. And, he was working out. You could tell he was working out. He was sweating. He was pumping. You know what I mean? He's like, please, John, I really need to talk to you. And John was like, listen, man, I understand you checking in on me. I really appreciate it. But I'm good. I'm in a better place right now. I just got to focus on what needs to be done. And the dude was like, John, listen, I'm not going to hold you up. But this is something that's really important that you need to know. So the dude was like, John looked at him, was like, gave him a look, all right, come in. Now his partner, who was watching him, was driving by again. Oh, you want to go see John first, huh? Okay. So he's like, what's up? What can I do for you? It's about your kids. He said, what happened to them? So he goes, I don't know how to say this, John, but they're dead. So John went into this mode of silence, but in his thoughts, he was in rage. He was in tears. He was breaking down. Without showing it on his face, he was just stuck. You know what I mean? That moment when you stuck, when you hear somebody real close to you has died, and you don't know how to respond to it, so you just be like in that state of shock, like, don't know what to do, don't know what to say, don't know how to respond. So he kind of touched John on his shoulder. John just kind of broke free. It was, where's Becky? She's at the hospital right now being treated for her wounds. So he go, what you mean being treated for her wounds? She was brutally beaten, John. Your daughter? So he didn't want to hear no more. The chief showed up at the house right when he was about to tell him about his daughter. He said, officer, I got her from here. Walked in. Sorry, John. So John was like, don't touch me. Don't say nothing to me. Just leave. And before, he was like, John, he was like, just leave. Before you leave, tell me what hospital Becky's at. He was like, John, tell me what hospital Becky's at. So they told John what hospital he's at. John went to the hospital. He went to see Becky. She hugged him, crying. John, like, he kind of like broke free of that and was like, what happened? What happened? What happened? And she crying, John, I'm sorry. I let this happen to our family, this and that and the third. I'm so sorry. All he kept saying was, what happened? What happened? And she kind of was just like, you know, the street dude I was running around with. He shot our son and beat me up. And when I woke up, so he go, what happened to our kid? Then the doctor walked in. And he was like, Doc, what happened? Well, she was brutally beaten up. And my kids? I'm sorry, sir. So they took him down to the autopsy to review the kids. You know, when you die or when somebody close to you die, they bring a family member in so they could recognize who you is on the death table. So when he went down to the autopsy to see the two kids laying there, and he asked what happened. So they tell him his son was shot point blank range in his chest. And his daughter, and the autopsy lady was like, well, she was raped about 6 times. He started tearing up about 6 times and then strangled. I'm sorry, John. And he went back up to his wife and was like, who did this? Was it that dude you was running around with? Was it him? And then the officers came in and was like, John, are you all right, man? So he looked at the dudes, the 2 officers that came to his house the first time. The one who was buying perks and the other one who was just lost. And the one buying perks is like, John, it's going to be all right. We're going to get them. And John looked at him and said, yeah, about that. You said that to me last time, right? Nothing has changed. Because I fucking listened to you, my kids is dead. You hear me? He's like, John, listen, my kids is dead. My wife is a fucking crackhead. She's a fucking crackhead. Listening to your ass. Don't really worry about it. I'm over this shit. I'm moving on with my life. I'm getting the fuck out of town. Fuck you. Fuck you and your drug habit ass motherfucker. He's like, John, why you coming at me? You fucking perkhead. You don't think I know a crackhead when I see one, bitch? So the people in the office, like the hospital was just looking like, he's like, John, come on. The law student was like, He's like, come on, John. He's like, You clueless motherfucker hanging with this dirty ass cop. You just should be just as dirty as he is. And then he walked past both of them. He went back home. He got his shit together. Now, John's backstory is he used to be in the Army. He used to be in the Army. He used to be in the Navy SEALs. You know, he switched. And he learned a lot of tactics. He learned a lot of little combat training. He know how to use a gun. He know how to make C4. He know how to make bombs. He kept that life hidden from his wife. He kept that life hidden from his family. And now he's been open to rage, and it was time to take action. It was time to take action. John went home. He went down in his basement. He hit a couple switches in certain areas, and shit opened up. He had guns here. He had body armors here. He had tactics, smoke bombs, grenades, the whole 9. He had a whole fucking basement set up. Guns, bombs, smoke bombs, flash grenades. He had knives. He had bodysuits. He had the whole shebang going down. He was taken to the streets and he was about to get popping now. It was over. He was about to be a fucking one-man army. You took out his kids, his lifeline, he coming for that ass. And he called up the dude who was lost. Listen, I need to speak to you ASAP. The dude pulls up. Hey, John, what's going on? He said, that information you told me about your partner. So he go, that information you told me about your partner, is it true? He go, he was like, hey, is it true? He's like, yeah, John, it's true. All right, I need your help. I need your help to get him on wire. I need him to confess to this shit. He's like, John, you talking about setting up my own partner? He goes, what about my kids? They don't deserve some type of justice? And then he looked at him and he's like, listen, man, if you don't help me, you're just gonna go right down with him. So the dude's like, all right. So he called up his partner. We need to talk. John put a chip on him, microchip on him. He didn't even know what was on him. He set it up. John started listening to their conversation. So he was like, listen, man, John is not the same. He's like, what do you mean? It's rage in his eyes and he's coming for people. He said, why you telling me? He think you're a part of it. And then the dude goes, you know, the shit he was saying at the hospital. He's like, about me being on perks and shit. I mean, I do a little perks here and there. Nothing is needed, the office need to know about. And then he was like, are you buying them too? I saw you talking to them street dudes right after the shit happened with John and his family. He's like, listen, man, you don't need to know about all that. It's none of your business, all right? He said, you might want to say something. You might want to do something with John because he's going to, if he finds out you're involved, he's going to take your head off, man. He's not the same. He's like, we're not even worried about John. That square motherfucker ain't going to do shit. He don't know shit. His wife was coming to us. She was a crackhead. She got her kids involved. That's her fault. What were we supposed to do? He said, you told John you was going to take care of this guy. Now, mind you, John is listening to all this shit go down. You told John you was going to take care of this. He's like, why are you so sentimental? He said, that's our friend, man. He's like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't take care of this guy. I'm in business with him. I make sure he gets his drugs off. I look the other way. I get paid. What else you want me to say? So when John heard that, he got the confession. He got what he needed. So the dude asked me, he was like, you're in it? He's like, yeah, me and the captain is in it. John had a little extra bit he was getting. He was like, all right. And he was like, the dude who was on perks, he was like, listen, I told you something that I need to know. Now you might want to shut the fuck up. Don't say shit. John don't need to know. And this shit'll blow right over. And the dude came back to John and was like, listen, man, I'm sorry. He's like, don't even worry about it. I already got it on camera. I already got it on voice. As long as you stay clear my way, you won't go down with him. So he was like, how did you get it? So he picked the recording off the dude. He placed it down. He was like, what the fuck is that? He took out a little speaker and he played it for him. He was like, long as, and then you hear the voiceovers like, you hear them both talking. He was like, what the fuck? When'd you put that on me? When you left my house. I'm bringing this whole motherfucking city down. And that's when all hell broke loose. The dude left. John left his house. He drove in his car and he hit the town. The dude was like, he was scared. He was nervous. He didn't know what to do. So he let shit play on how it played on. Right? He followed John. John was one of them abandoned buildings where them little dealers be. Suited up. He had the vest on. He was walking around with an AR in his hand. He had a handgun in his pocket. He had a knife in his other. He had grenades on his vest. He had flash grenades on his back. He had the whole suit, the shebang. He was going to war with these motherfuckers. He was a one-man army. He went to that warehouse, crept in through the back. He put a silencer on his handgun and started dropping motherfuckers. Motherfuckers was under attack and didn't know where it was coming from. He was moving with the shadows. He was catching motherfuckers off guard. He was slicing niggas' necks. Ugh, come here. The little niggas was in there. It was like, who the fuck is that? They started to realize it was bodies outside. It was bodies in the building. Oh, somebody in here, strap up, somebody in here. I think it's the ops. Now, when the kid told everybody, all the drug dealers, they all got to the top floor and got together. Like, niggas is coming in, and then you could hear niggas screaming out, ah! Scared them niggas. John was in the ceiling, right? Climbed up into the ceiling at the top of the floor, top of the roof. Dropped the flash grenade in there. Boof! And shit went off. Motherfuckers lost it. Oh, shit. John pulled out that AR and started letting it rack. Dang. Dropping niggas. He was dropping them. Dang. He dropped about 6 niggas. The last nigga standing was the head honcho of that building. Where your boss at? Dying. Where your boss at? He's at such and such place. He said, please don't kill me. He put a bullet right in his chin. Boom! Blew his head off. Went to the next spot. When he came out, the dude was following him. The other officer was following him. John had blood smeared all over him. Boop. He had little splits of blood everywhere. Jumped in his car and went to the next destination. Went to the next spot. John took out about a good 3 buildings full of drug dealers and street niggas. That was about a good 30 niggas. He did that within the first hour. He was taking niggas. Boop, dropping them. To that one street nigga who was at the office. He went to his office. He came in there. He was looking for him. He was the nigga that was dealing with Becky, right? He said, oh, it's John. Hey, how could I do for you? Rocked him. Boom! Out his seat. Beating him up. Boop. Beating the shit out of him. Dragged him. Come here. The dude grabbed John, flipped up, got loose, tried to fight John back. John, remember I told y'all, John was combat trained. Got low. Boop. And dropped him again. Beating the shit out of him in the office building. Then dragged him out. Come here. Put him in the car. Boop. Beat him up again. And he took him to a building. And took him to the roof. He's like, all these motherfuckers, you chose my wife and my kid to kill. Why? He said, you killed me, your wife's going down. He was like, fuck that bitch. She can go down with you. She's no good to me no more. She got my kids killed. And she let you do it. So what's stopping me from letting you die? And then the officer that came up there that was following was like, John, I can't let you kill this man. You've been wreaking havoc on the town. Cops came. They were trying to convince John, don't do it. Don't drop this man. Da. The dude who was on perks was like, I can't let you do that. Come on, man. I was like, oh, you in business with this motherfucker. That's why you can't let me do it, huh? Now, John had him on the edge, about to just let him fall. You feel what I'm saying? About to just let him fall. And he said, yeah, he's my business partner. He's bringing me in a lot of money. I'm paying for kids' school. So what he did was he threw the dude right into him. Boom! Dropped him. I said, you got my kids killed too, motherfucker. He started beating up on the officer. Boop! The other officer, he shot John in the arm to get him off him. And he was about to arrest John. John was combat trained. He ended up flipping the guy. Punched him in his face. Right? So the officer who was on perks grabbed the drug dealer and got up out of there. Shooting. Boof. He ended up hitting his own partner. Ah, shit. Motherfucker. How you gonna shoot me? He said, I told you, your partner's in it. Then all the cops started coming to the building. All the cops. Shootout banging out. These is officers in plain clothes. And what happens now is the officer was trying to get the drug dealer up out of there. The captain showed up in plain clothes. He's like, what's the situation? John. He snapped. He lost it. He wants revenge for his kids. He said, we going to handle John. We going to get him the fuck out of here. He told the drug dealer, Dip, get out of town. So the drug dealer escapes. John come down. He drops a flash grenade. Push. Boop. He started getting it on with him. Now, the other officer who was lost, he didn't know who to help at this point because he knew his partner was dirty. He knew John was out for revenge, but he was a vigilante. So it's like he couldn't really help the vigilante. So what happens now is the captain was like, arrest him. He was like, I ain't arresting him. So the captain shot the dude. Poof. He shot the lost kid. He's like, you ain't want to help me? You go down with him then. And he told John, he's like, I can't let you wreak havoc on my town. I know your kids has been killed, but this is not the way to go about it. Now, the dude who was on perks, John crept up on him when he wasn't looking. Stabbed him up. Poof, 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 poof. Now you could join my kids, you bitch. And left his body there, slump. Ugh. So the captain, he heard it. He heard a body drop. He came back, and he saw that the dude was dead. He was like, fuck. So a lot of cops just started swarming in. SWAT team, fire department, they all get there on the scene because there's officers down. And they like, the captain finally exits the building. He's like, what's going on? What's going on? What John decides to do is he crept out the building. He crept out the building. And the SWAT team went in. And when he crept out the building, he got dressed up in bummy street clothes like a civilian. And he handed one of the officers who was in the SWAT car with the computers. And he was like, play this. Play it. And so the dude played it, and he played it on the speaker. And it's a whole conversation about the dude on perks being involved with the street niggas. About selling drugs and looking the other way. And the captain heard this. I was like, where's that coming from? Da, 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 da. And a lot of the officers heard it. The captain got arrested. The street nigga ended up getting out of town. The dude that got shot, the lost kid, he survived. He survived. He went on trial with them, and they ended up putting the captain away. Now, John ain't really care for the captain. He didn't really care to kill him. He got what he deserved. The street dude ended up going down to Florida, hiding out. John ended up finding him. And when the street dude went to his hotel with a little shorty, John was waiting in the room for him. And he basically paid the girl to bring the dude in. So he was like, you bitch. So she dipped out. And he was like, well, you thought it was over? Nah. And John killed that motherfucker. And that's the end of the one-man army, man. It's your boy Carter TV. And I'm out, y'all.